I kind of get stuck in this loop of anxiety basically and stress, where I just give myself anxiety and stress because of something, and then because I gave myself anxiety and stress, I get more anxiety and stress, and this just keeps happening again and again and again.
And this is all at the root of I need to achieve, and I also fear what others think. What up?
Hi.
All right. Nice place. So, first thing I usually ask people is like, why this world? And this is a really nice one. Very serene winter world.
Oh no, honestly, usually just prefer how the world looks like the snow. It's something I can relate to because it's where I live right now, so kind of
Okay.
similar to that when during the winter.
Feels like home.
So yeah, it kind of does feel like home, and it just I don't know, something about this map that just I like. Mostly
Okay.
because I think I met my first few friends here. Also could be a part of it.
All right. You don't have to give your exact name, but what would you like to be called?
Fine with being called lazy. I think that works.
Yeah, when I tried to look up your name, there was a ton of them. So maybe there's a ton of lazy people. I don't know.
That does
Well,
make sense though.
well, you don't have to give your exact age. You can also give it age range. But where do you lie?
I don't mind disclosing my age. That is not a problem.
So how old is Senor Lazy?
I am 20 right now. Will be 21 in a few months.
Where were you born, and where do you live now?
So I'm half Indian and half Japanese.
Oh,
Uh, I was born in India and raised there for a decent amount of my childhood. I think at least 10 years to 12 years, I think.
okay.
And then we moved to Japan because my dad found better work then, and then over time we just grew to that country, and then we still keep going back and forth to India and back. So we visit India a lot, but right now I am living in Japan. Yeah.
Do you have citizenship in both, or just one?
No, I have a residency in Japan, though I have Indian citizenship. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that being said, you speak the English, but what other languages do you know, or would you like to learn?
Well, except for I guess Japanese. Uh, uh, I do speak Hindi as well because I was born and brought up, and then another dialect of that doesn't. I learned Spanish in high school, and I know a little bit of French. I can read French, can't speak it anymore. I've forgotten most of it.
Okay.
But if there's something I want to learn, would be Chinese because I'm picking it up because of my friends.
It's time to ask the most difficult question. Are you sure you can handle this being in the hospital right now? Are you sure you could possibly be ready for this question?
Um, there's been some stuff, but I mean, if I don't face it now, when will I might have to face it sometime in the future.
That's right. Now I'm gonna ask you, what's your favorite color?
Oh no. This is a tough question. As of now, I think it's still white.
Oh, I mean that makes sense. There's a lot of that here.
It's usually just white because it just fits with all the colors and probably because it looks nice and it's calming to me in general.
Okay. What brings you to be your best self?
Oh, that is quite a confusing question because to be my best self, well, the thing is, I haven't seen myself at my best in a long time, or I have not programmed my mind, I guess, in that way to look at myself. So,
Huh.
hasn't happened recently, but I can. The last time I felt like I was my best self was, uh, I think, junior year of high school.
Hmm. What was going on in that year of high school that made you feel like that?
So I went to a boarding school for high school, and I basically made a lot of new friends, like came in contact with different cultures and backgrounds. Uh, and I was having a lot of fun time because I was boarding, I had my friends around me. Everything was going great, to be honest. Like, I was enjoying school as it is,
Hmm.
doing sports. Everything is going great at that time.
So I know you said programmed, as in things have kind of maybe not been so good that it's hard to see yourself in that light. Um, what are some things or hobbies or routines like, or just nice things? What kind of things help you get to that place? Like you may not fully see yourself being at your best, but what kind of things help?
I think, like, maybe having like a social life again due to recent circumstances and stuff. I just haven't been outside in the fear of, well, the family emergency and stuff. Like, I too scared to step outside because to look after my parents
Hmm.
during
Okay.
this time.
That makes sense. Sounds like.
But if yeah, sorry, if there was something that would make me feel better, being happier, would be talking to my friends or like just hanging out like with a few of my closest buddies, maybe drinking on like a Saturday night stuff or going out, to a party or like a bar for a while. That sounds like a good time, honestly.
Okay.
Felt like a bit of, I guess, closure and comfort because it's a pretty familiar environment that way.
All right. Well, on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being I lie to myself all the time. Well, just kidding. 0 being I never lie to myself, and 10 being I lie to myself all the time. Where do you see yourself on that scale?
Pretty hardcore 6 and 7 around that.
Hmm. So you're fairly truthful with yourself, but there are some things that you just push aside.
Yeah, I had had that habit like since high school. I just didn't realize it. I did it at that point until I realized it. Until someone made me realize it, I guess.
All right. Well, with that being said, we can go ahead and dive into whatever past or present problems that you would like to talk about. And there can be pauses, there can be non-linear conversation. It doesn't matter because I can just edit this all together. So, what would you like to dive into first?
Uh, it's a decently long story, I guess, in that way. But I guess it could begin with my past,
Okay.
since most of it is dependent on that, on how my behavior is now. Since like I grew up in an Asian family with like strict parents, things were difficult because, well, I have an elder sibling as well, and she performs well, and she's pretty hardworking. So even if my parents don't like call it out, but I don't know, I could tell that they wanted me to do as well as her, if not.
Hmm. So
Like,
feeling
so
feeling
I
that
always felt that
pressure.
pressure.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, basically. Well, you got that. So yeah, felt this pressure to do well. So I kind of got this nagging voice, kind of like a parent of my own. Like I made a part of myself inside my head that would just nag me if I did anything that I couldn't perform well or anything. So this started like happening after like just when I begun high school, because everything mattered, because I wanted to get into college stuff. So
You had to be perfect.
just got
Straight A plus pluses.
yeah, not even gonna lie. Like I honestly think that it's pretty common that people do have god complexes. I kind of had one of those for myself, where I just wanted myself to do this perfectly and that perfectly, and if I didn't, I would just beat myself about it.
Hmm.
And it was pretty horrible. Like, I mean, I still do it even now. It's just that I started like recognizing that I do it before I wouldn't even recognize it. So, that being said, when I was in high school, I guess, when high school started, everything was pretty fun, normal, and stuff until I actually had to face a problem of like dealing with social life, academic work, everything like in general, and I struggled because I couldn't find myself a place to fit in,
Hmm.
like let it be. So I was just in and out of different groups, circles, as they would call it. And I just like I had to change how I behave myself. I had to put on a mask in front of others, and it and
What did that look like? Like, so, like, what is wearing a mask for you?
so I guess like you could say group A like to, I don't know, party a lot, or they were like just like, I guess not chats, but like you kind of get the idea for like how this was just like they just wanted to enjoy high school life, uh, do stupid things and whatnot, and then there was this other group that would just look down upon them.
So typically when people describe putting on a mask, it's kind of like not being themselves. So, you know, I'm sad right now, but the mask is on, I'm happy.
Yeah, so exactly. So this is what I meant. Like, so I would tend to do these things. Like, I don't know. There'll be, I don't know. Since that time, guess underage drinking was pretty bad, taboo kind of thing. So I used to take part in that, and then I used to feel really bad about it. And when I used to hang out in the other friend circle, I would just act like I wouldn't do any of these things, or I wouldn't, and I would like feel really bad about it. And when I'd go back to the other group, it would be a different person altogether.
Sounds like you had two masks on. Two-faced.
Yeah, basically, it was, and I couldn't like, I felt like I had a foot in each circle, but I couldn't like fit in either, and I struggled with this towards senior year of high school. That's when I'd like made a pretty good group of friends, and by the time I realized like I was actually happy with how things were going, school was already about to end. So it was so that kind of like just it was kind of like a slap in the face because it kind of like made me realize that I just how much time I wasted.
Hmm.
Now coming to university and stuff, the first year of uni was pretty nice actually. Everything was going fine until like I started failing courses because I failed a course that set me back a lot mentally. I was scared. I could not approach my professors because I was genuinely scared to talk to them. I felt like I would be judged, would be looked down upon. It was just
For
I
not
could
being
not bring
perfect?
myself to do that. It could be that, yeah. Honestly, yeah. I think, yeah, it would be either for not being perfect or for not getting something stupid as that right or something like that.
Hmm.
So things like that would just freak me out. And since I don't know, I think couldn't say because there was a lot of drama that went on in my high school and a lot of stuff. So I think that drained me and kind of scared me from having a big social circle. That I didn't end up having too many friends during that few semesters of uni. Like I had like 3 friends at max, and I would talk not that much to them. And it was pretty hard. Like I could not make myself go out to parties, let alone do anything that required like for me to be in like a social um, scenario. Basically, because my social battery would always be at zero for some reason.
Huh. When was the first time you started noticing your battery at 0?
I think either because I was doing bad academically, that's when it happened as well, and the fact that the friends that I'd made back at uni, they wouldn't like tend to step out. They were more towards the nerdier side, what you would call it. So
So they were
if I
academically
did go,
focused.
yeah, wouldn't say that much either, but they would pull through. They would pull through like pretty well sometimes. They weren't exactly academically focused, but they just care about like I don't know computers, games, stuff. So
Hmm.
it is so if I like would go at a party or anything, it would just be hard to talk to them, and I felt like I would lose these friends, and I was in constant fear of losing them as well.
Why do you feel like you would lose them? Like what would happen to make that a reality?
And I would definitely be very sad. I would be stressed. I would be really scared because I feel like then no one would like me if I would do that.
Well,
And
what I'm saying is like
then thus again,
how would you lose them? Like what would you have to do to make that happen?
I don't know, just start like going out, like not doing the same activities that they did. Well, not the same, but even like similar, I guess, would be in that case. Like, and they were pretty nice guys in that case, but I guess it's just again that I would have. It's like beating myself up again about it because I'd be like I'm losing my friends and stuff, so I would get scared to do it.
Scared to
So
have
I didn't
different
take.
interests?
Yeah, kind of scared to be judged because I have this fear of being judged by other people, and it just keeps me away from doing anything that requires me to step up onto any like social public situation, no matter what it is, and I can't do it. Like, let alone answering questions in class or anything. I can't even like do that. I can't even raise my hand for something as simple as that.
What you remember like the earliest time that you feared being judged and like what happened?
To be honest, I think it was since childhood. Because when I was a kid, I was pretty cocky because well, I would do good in school. I would like do great in sports. I would do all these good things, and then like I was pretty proud about it as well because I was so happy with like doing everything. And then people started talking behind my back.
Mm.
And others started hating me because they thought I was cocky and stuff. And then just started building up this, I guess, lack of trust in others. It just fell off somewhere. And
I really want to dive into like, how do you understand what other people were feeling and thinking about you? How do you understand that?
I guess just it's more like
Like, be them for a second. Like, from their point of view, like, what does that look like?
right. For me in my head, all I can view is that oh, that kid is cocky, or that kid thinks he's just sitting on this high horse. I guess.
How do you think it makes them feel?
Makes them feel jealous, of course, and then I guess frustrated at themselves as well because they can't seem to meet those standards by then.
Sound
I
familiar?
think that's what. Yep. I see. God dang it. Just got bamboozled. But yeah, no, I see what you mean.
Sounds like you switched places.
Mm-hmm. Did a pretty big old switcheroo, yeah.
It sounds like, you know, from that point onwards, you kind of learned that if you don't act in the right way, or you don't behave well, if you don't, you know, excel at the same time, it's like you have the expectations that were beaten into you by your parents, so you have to excel. But then you have the or the understanding that if you excel too much and you kind of talk about it or gloat or, you know, anything, that everyone around you will also beat you down. So you're like trapped between the two. Just from what I'm hearing.
Yeah, that's pretty much on point actually. But it's kind of like that. Yeah, if you summarize it, yeah, that's pretty much it. So I can't find this middle ground. I wish I could, and I still can't.
Well,
I struggle to.
that's what you know, we're here to try and figure out. So let's see. So this would be problem number 1. But it's a 2-part because you'd have to, you know, and it's also affecting, you know, university and finance and other things like that. So, well, actually, oh yeah, that's interesting because it kind of bounces back and forth. So you're feeling like you can't really ask your professors for help so that you can, you know, pass the class and do better because you fear, you know, being judged. Okay, can you remember the last time that you were really nervous or nervous about being judged and you got past it?
I guess it's right after. So the course that I failed was like an important one for my major, and when I took it again, and this time like I did ask my professor for a little bit of help this time during that, but I was still scared, but like I wanted to make sure that I got through no matter what. Like I tried my best and I did get past it. I did pretty well at that time in that course, and it was fine. And then I moved on to the next course, kind of fumbled there a bit, but yeah, I think right after completing the course, and I think that's when it kind of felt like I got past that judging feeling because I actually asked my professor to help. I felt I kind of like did something though. Even though it was for a short moment, I guess it was a good feeling, I guess.
So what I'm kind of hearing from that is the anxiety of potentially failing again pushed you past that fear of being judged, and once you actually got there, you found that it wasn't as bad and that it was actually, good to ask for help, or painless rather.
Yeah, of course, but it didn't solve the anxiety of failing because I still have it. I mean, I'm pretty sure everyone does have it. It's there, but and I kind of get it, and it stops a lot of people from doing things that they want to because anxiety just drains people mentally, and then sometimes you just don't do things that you wanted to do or can't do it because you're drained. So it's kind of like I kind of get stuck in this loop of anxiety basically and stress, where I just give myself anxiety and stress because of something, and then because I gave myself anxiety and stress, I get more anxiety and stress, and this just keeps happening again and again and again.
And this is all at the root of I need to achieve, and I also fear what others think.
Yeah, this is kind of one of the biggest root problems, of course. That being, I mean, there are other factors that will come in later, I guess, but these were the biggest problems I had until recently. Yeah.
Well, you said until recently, so are you past these problems, or are they still going on?
They're still going on. They're just newer, bigger problems that I'm more getting anxious and sad and like stressed about. Like my dad being in the hospital and trying to like look after him. Him being ill all the time. It just scares me because I have this constant fear that if he passes away, what do I do? Like, what would be my step? I can't seem to think the positive except for the negative. Like, I just seem to have this pessimist kind of view on things.
So what do you feel is bothering you the most?
As of right now, it's probably because the lockdowns, the restrictions on doing things. Recently I've just been kind of feeling like, I don't know, a sack of useless shit. That's probably the most efficient way of putting it. Like, I feel like I can't seem to do anything. I want to do it. I think about it, but I can't get out. I can't get out of my personal space to do it.
What is it?
And even if I do it maybe once, God, it could be even simple as walking down or taking a walk, just for a little bit. Don't have to do it for like a physical activity or anything, just for a change of scenario or such. Because
well, you said you feel useless, so why do you feel useless? What are the things that you want or need to do that you aren't able to?
I guess I used to feel in that case useful by being like active physically, because I kind of feel my body just becomes unhealthy. I'm sad, I guess, that I can't do things that I want to now. Nothing, simple things that like my like passions, I guess, like playing soccer or I guess like volleyball, stuff like that. I can't seem to do that. That used to be like my stress relievers. I guess there could be like other issues, like simple as gaming. Like, I guess
are you
keep
saying
constantly
you don't
not being able to.
You don't enjoy these things anymore?
I can't really say as of now because, well, I don't feel that I want to do it anymore. Like, I don't have the passion or anything to do it as of
Mm.
now. Though, before all of this, I used to do these things almost religiously and used to enjoy it.
Hmm.
And it used to be fun, but now I'm
What
just,
what
I
happened in
can't.
your life to where you stopped doing these things?
Uh, I mean, first of all, the fact that I couldn't step out of my house
So
is one of
COVID?
them.
COVID was the start of this?
Yeah, so, well, the main reason why things escalated was so when uni ended, like the first year of uni, since now I'm going into my third year, so the first year of uni ended, and I was basically just stuck uh, in my accommodation for 3 months, basically, all alone because my roommates had left, everyone had left and gone back home, but I could not leave because flights were banned, and I could not like return back home during that time. And I did not have any social interaction for those 3 months, except for, I guess, being online, but did not talk to a human that way or anything. I was just constantly scared, and it's pretty, it's pretty bad. Like, I used to have panic attacks every other day. I used to get scared that I wouldn't like see anyone or my family. What would I do if I was stuck here for an indefinite period of time? And just these thoughts just kept coming.
Hmm.
And then I guess with that, like, I guess that kind of started because I preoccupied my mind on all of these things that started killing my other passions slowly. Uh, I mean, once I did get back home, I was pretty happy for a short period of time again, and then when I got back, nothing had changed. Except this time, I mean, I did have, like Vin Diesel says, family with me, but it's just, I guess, except for that, like, I wanted to meet my friends, I wanted to go out, I want to do all of these things, but now I kind of don't feel I want to. I don't even feel like I want to meet these friends anymore.
And why is that? What changed?
I can't say it's maybe the law, like my social battery dying down, and I like me having depressive episodes and just being scared of stepping outside my house because I don't know how to explain it. It's just I'm scared, but as well as I feel so much more safer being inside my room or inside my house than being outside talking to even these friends I've known for years. Feel like it's a hassle to talk to them, kind of.
Yeah, it sounds like
Which
you're
is,
exhausted.
I mean, I really wish the exhaustion runs away quickly because it's been there for a while now.
Yeah. So what have kind of
I mean, I've been. You go ahead, sorry.
I was just gonna summarize unless you had anything else to add.
I mean, recently I started doing, if nothing, like a little bit of. I step outside whenever I feel stressed or panicked, and it really does like help a lot. Like, listen to like I listen to my favorite playlist, and I just step outside the house. It doesn't matter how much I hate it. I do it just so I can get that change of surrounding to distract me from the anxiety or the panic attack I like kind of feel is coming on the way.
Alright, well, what I'm kind of gathering from all of that is you have different sources of things that stress you out, and when you get to like a critical point, like a panic attack, and then that happens frequently or for too long, then come along the depressive episodes. Then you're exhausted, then it's hard for you to do well in school, then the negative thoughts and other fears kind of start creeping in, and again just puts you back in that cycle of, you know, I want to go out and socialize and feel better, but I don't really have the motivation to do any of that because I've been stressed for so long and the stress won't go away, and I'm trying to do things I enjoy to kind of combat that stress, and then you find yourself stuck.
Yeah, it's a freaking vicious loop, and I hate it.
Okay. So I would say the goal, you know, is you had things that you enjoy, and like you could go back to those, but the stress is a bit too high for you to enjoy those things. So that would of course be the obvious target, is finding ways to reduce that stress. Some of that we can do by, you know, talking and you know, figuring out how to kind of take away the power from the negative thinking. But what kind of support system do you have for like friends and family? Do you talk to anyone about these things?
I mean, my best friend in uni is kind of suffering through, well, not similar, but he is going through like anxiety, stress, and he has trust issues because of, well, past relationships and stuff like that. So I mean, it's easier to talk to him about these things. I do talk to my older sibling as well. She does help me out in these situations, but it's really hard to talk to my friends because, well, they think it's kind of like a taboo thing, well, or not, because the way they were raised, it's just something that wasn't considered like a mental disorder, and or something like that was not considered
Real.
as like a, yeah, it was something like, oh, it's fine, you can just become strong mentally, and then I'm like, but like how, like that does not help me. That's probably the most frustrating thing I've ever heard. I'm like,
just
listen,
fucking just get
been going
strong,
through
forehead.
yeah, just get strong for it. And just like stuff like, oh, you'll figure it out, and I'm like, no, I wish if I did, I would be fine by now, wouldn't I? But
Well, I
it's
mean,
just,
Suicide Forest exists for a reason. That culture is very unsupportive of people expressing themselves and their emotions, and mental health in a lot of Eastern countries is just kind of non-existent. Like you have Buddhism, Ayurveda, some Hindi cultural things that kind of help support that, but not directly. So like for them, they're kind of just following what they've been taught to not talk about their emotions, and the second you bring it up, they're like, nope, doesn't exist, don't talk about it, get out of my sight.
I mean, that's how it is, I guess. It's weird because the thing is that I see it happening to my parents, but they just ignore it happening to them as well, which stresses me out because I worry about them. So you kind of see there's another stressor added to the list now.
So you have an okay support system. Probably could be a little bit better. Maybe you can meet people on VRChat, or you know, other additional people to talk about these things, you know, from when I'm not around. Let's see. Where do I want to start with this? Okay. It's gonna be like the fear of others judging you, and then the pressure to succeed. Those are like two huge sources. And then I guess COVID is a third one, and it's getting better. Like countries are lifting the restrictions, so on and so forth. So that one will dissipate eventually. I think coping skills, like you've already talked about walking outside, but maybe adding some tools to your kit would be helpful. But yeah.
I do grounding and stuff if it gets really bad, but I guess the most helpful one was probably taking an ice cube and just putting it down my mouth. Honestly, it kind of just like resets me technically.
Yeah, I've heard that before. Especially for self-harm urges too, people will take 2 ice cubes in their hands and then squeeze it as hard and as long as they can, and it kind of helps them bring them back to reality pretty quickly.
I mean, in general, like any sudden change in temperature as well, kind of like does help, I guess. Taking a cold shower as such also helps. I guess breathing exercises like those kind of help as well a lot. But it's like the fact that I know I can do these, but I don't do them because I just ignore their possibility that I could do this, or I fail to recognize that I can do this at this point.
So it sounds like finding more ready to go or immediate, quick kind of coping skills, like grabbing ice cubes or stepping outside. Finding more of those, because if you're struggling to be aware of what's going on, you might get stuck in that negative thought loop or fixation and kind of just decline from there until something breaks you out of it, like the anxiety of needing to go to school or needing to visit your father in the hospital. Of the things that stress you out, which do you feel like is number one? And we'll work our way down.
So for, I guess recently it's probably not judging myself, but the fact that striving to do better, the fact that I keep nagging my own self, and I guess academic stressors as well. Those are like the top one for me at the moment.
So we're gonna do a bit of archaeology. So are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Are you ready to go in there?
Yeah.
You can eject at any time.
Sure.
Okay, so you have a pressure to succeed, right?
Right. Yeah.
Do you need to be perfect, or do you need to succeed? Do you feel like it's a need?
I don't want to be completely perfect, but I do want to do pretty well enough that I feel like all this effort that my parents put into me does not go to waste. It's what makes me feel guilty about doing everything bad, and that the fact that like I'm scared of doing bad.
This is always tricky because I don't know if you've heard of the term called tiger parents, but a lot of Eastern cultures sort of put unfair pressure on their kids because like either they were taught to, or they're trying to live some type of success through them rather than what they would accomplish themselves. And it's also not aligned with who you are as a person and what you would like to do and how you feel.
Well, I haven't heard of the term, but I guess that is pretty much normal around me, I guess. So I do see it often.
So
I mean, some people deal completely fine and most don't, but yeah.
well, for those that you feel like are doing fine, they're probably just better at keeping the mask on and not showing you how they really feel. Some people are more talented
Yeah.
at that than others. Deception. But we kind of have to figure some things out and any sacrifices that you might be willing to make. Now, you said you feel better with other people than by yourself.
I guess it's right now at least. No, I do feel better by myself. It's just the assurance of having somebody in the next room or like it within close reach.
Right.
I guess it's not like I like being around people all the time or like I have to be. I mean, of course, that is something maybe I'll get to eventually, but as of now, no.
Do you feel like you can handle it?
Handle staying alone or staying
Just that. Do you
like
feel
surrounded by people?
Do you feel like you can handle it? Doesn't matter what it is. Like deep within yourself, can I handle it?
No, no, I don't think so. I'm doubting myself about this. So yeah, I don't think I can.
Okay, and here's the theory that I'm gonna jump to. Your parents taught you that you needed to be perfect, and when you couldn't be perfect, you didn't feel like you were good enough, or when you started to break down, you didn't feel like you could handle it. You didn't feel like you could do it. You lost confidence in doing that. And then I'd be willing to say that even reaching out for help also kind of felt like a sign of weakness because again, you couldn't handle it or do it yourself. Does that any of that resonate?
Yeah, I mean, now it makes sense why you would ask me why I couldn't handle it. And I mean, yeah, I guess, yeah, I really can't handle it.
The combination of pressures kind of set you up for failure to where you weren't allowed to be where you're at or who you are, and you were kind of pressured into achieving like very difficult or impossible things, which gave you this sense of that you can't do it, you're not good enough, you can't handle it, and how that just kind of, you know, was embedded or ingrained in you, you know, all the way until this present day.
Yeah, I mean, eventually my parents did get, I guess, lenient as age or whatever, as they started to, I don't know what must have caused them to get slightly more lenient, I guess, in that case, but they became more accepting slowly, if nothing. I mean, pretty happy about it than it was before, really, but I mean, if I talk about like serious problems such as emotions and stuff, this is just something that they try to avoid or they give really bad advice about, and yes.
It sounds like
Also, the fact that.
okay.
Oh, yeah, no. You can go ahead. So, I guess, I kind of lost my train of thought there.
Oh, damn it.
Yeah. Uh, I guess, yeah, the fact that like I want to do better than I guess my sister, or the fact that I wanted to do something for myself or something they would be proud of,
Hmm.
even if they weren't there to set me up, like, for achieving these tasks. I did it for myself because of the way I guess I was raised, or I don't know, but kind of made it into how I would just look at myself and be like, I need to do this better, I need to do that better, or this has to be good enough. And I guess
Has to be good
that's
enough.
kind of what. Hmm. Well, can't give
When
an amount
is it?
to good enough.
When is it ever enough?
See, that is why I said that I can't say the amount, like, as to what enough would be, but an acceptable amount in the case would be like where it's in the zone of my parents don't almost cut me up basically into sushi, or the fact that I guess good enough is, I guess, that the scores I could achieve, like, realistically. Okay.
So,
I guess in between that range.
I'm at this crossroad of like how to navigate, you know, maintaining a relationship, a healthy relationship, or attempting to maintain a healthy relationship with your parents, your friends, and family, and also finding a way to give you a break and a little bit more peace in your life. Because it's not, from the perspective I'm coming from, you're struggling, you're really stressed. You're so stressed that you have panic attacks sometimes, and then after the panic attacks you get depressive episodes. And if you have depressive episodes for long enough, you start to think of wanting to end your life. And we want to stay away from that. And at the root of all of this, you have a fear of judgment of others, and then this pressure to succeed. So something has to give. And that's what I'm going to encourage you to think about, what path to kind of take here, or maybe that there's a happy medium, or some type of solution. The first thing I would bring up is environment. Who you surround yourself with. Are they supportive people? Do they accept you for who you are and your flaws, and, you know, maybe the ability to not be a Nobel Peace Prize winning Einstein genius in every single little thing that you do? Or are they okay with, you know, are they okay with Mr. Lazy kind of being lazy and just getting a C or B? You know, just being okay. Those are the people that you're going to want to surround yourself with, because if you think about it, how stressed are you typically when you're around people who have those high expectations for you?
I mean, I'm always stressed because I feel like I don't fit in, and it's that constant fear of trying to do good enough, so I'm in there.
Mm-hmm.
See, now the word good enough showed up again. But yeah.
Yep, see what's going on here? Are you fucking smelling what I'm stepping in? Are you picking up what I'm putting down?
Yeah. I guess I'm getting there slowly. Mm-hmm.
But that's like that's why I mentioned in Eastern cultures, it's like it's not as easy as in Western cultures, where you can literally just get up and leave and find another friend group and be perfectly okay. It's harder than that, you know, because your parents raised you and they supported you, and, you know, you would literally potentially have to move countries in order to find a little bit more peace in some ways. Otherwise, you'd have to just be alone, and you certainly can do that, but that's also not like the healthiest thing in the world. You kind of want to find some people that you could socialize with and, you know, support you. And to tell you the truth, I hear a lot of cases of people finding that online, and especially through VRChat, and enjoying those relationships more than the ones in person, because the people online that they meet are, caring, non-judgmental, and are basically like the family that they've never had. So that's gonna be one option, or one resource. One resource is definitely gonna be here, as you're well aware of. As far as like how to navigate with your blood family, that might look like a conversation, and I don't know how willing you would be to have that. So you've heard of positive affirmations where you might say things like, I am good enough, I can handle this, and so on and so forth, to counter the negative thoughts. But that's gonna be pretty fucking hard to do if your parents are constantly reinforcing that everything you do is not good enough. So it's like you're in quicksand, and it's really difficult to get out because your parents are doing what they know. It's not necessarily their fault, it's just they're doing what they're taught, and they want you to succeed and be safe, but they don't realize that the pressure that they're kind of putting on you is doing the opposite, because now you're having depression and panic attacks, and they don't understand that. What did the conversation look like when you talked to them about that? What did they say? What did you say?
Oh, I mean, I did bring it up, and my mom was like, well, she was like, yeah, I mean, I know like how it feels to have those, because she was telling me how, like, because both like me and my sister had left the home, she was like alone, so she kind of like had those. She's like, I know how it feels, but then this comes up, you just gotta be strong. And I'm just like, okay, yeah. And
Duh.
so it's, yeah, I mean, that, and then it's stuff like they would just be like, mentally gotta, if these thoughts come up, just remove them from your head. I'm like, I mean, there's a reason they're coming up. Even if I remove them, they'll keep coming. I need to remove it at the root of the problem, I guess. But it's stuff like that. Like, they I mean, I talked to them, they're like, yeah, I understand the issues you're facing. I mean, they did help me get like help regarding this, but they themselves didn't change much, even though like I asked for like a little space, like taking space in our relationship, which I couldn't be able to do ever before.
So you set a boundary to sort of, ease up, not bother you as much, and they didn't respect that boundary.
It's more like they kind of don't get the idea of the boundary, I guess. That's what I mean, if they
What did you say, son? What the fuck are you telling me? You telling me that I can't tell you to be perfect? How dare you?
That's basically it, and then no food for you for 3 days, and then yeah, that's about it. Kind of like that, get the gist of it. But I can't even have like simple privacy as like locking my own door or anything. Even as simple as that. They need to know what I'm doing all the time.
Well, lazy. That's leaving very little options. So this is a little bit stark or just a difficult situation, because like I said, if you have these constant negative reinforcers, it's gonna be hard for you to find peace and make progress towards being mentally healthy. So your options would be, communicate boundaries to your parents and they respect that, and then you can move forward from there. Or you gotta start putting some serious distance between them and kind of living more independently so that you can get that peace. And then also dealing with the loneliness.
Yeah. And that's kind of why I'm kind of like dying back to go back to university, I guess, because it's just far from home. I mean, I get that nagging happening, I guess, sometime or the other. I mean, I already have a parent in my own head telling me to do stuff. Not like I don't.
Mm-hmm.
But it kind of does feel nice that I'm away from home. It's nice to visit back home, but
it also
the
sounds
space
like
it's still better.
Both some nice familiarity and support, and then also some negatives and pressure that you're not very fond of.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I can't get the best of both worlds, I guess, in this case. They're gonna have to take either one of these options, which have the least drawbacks, where I can, I guess, help myself recover as much as I can, I guess.
So, if they continue to pressure you like this, the conversations that I typically see people have is something like this. Mom, Dad, I need to live my life. I need to be alone. I need to grow. I need to grow up. I need to find myself. And the more you pressure me to do things that you think is right, the more I feel like I don't want to be around you. And it makes it harder for me to tolerate or be around you. You know, like, I love and care about you, but it's not healthy for me to be around you at this time. And based on how they respond and how the rest of that conversation goes, maybe there's a good boundary that's made. Maybe the relationship is repaired, or maybe both sides go their own separate ways for a while. So it would kind of be up to you to decide what path you want to strive for. Because this would be the first step in giving yourself some, or relieving the pressure, giving yourself some peace. Because the second step would be, teaching yourself, or, unlearning this ridiculous pressure that you need to put on yourself, and reprogramming yourself to understand that it's okay to fail. You learn the most when you fail, and you might be a much stronger and better and wiser person for having failed rather than only achieving success. Success isn't the greatest teacher. You don't really learn much from that. You kind of just keep going and don't really think about things. But when you feel the sting of failure, that's when you really do some deep reflection and kind of learn things that, you might not have learned before. So in that case, that lifts the pressure. You don't have to be successful all the time. You just have to find a solution for moving forward toward your career and what you want to do, where you want to be in life. And kind of give yourself a pat on the back, a little bit of compassion. Turn the fist into, a pat or a hug, or just self-compassion. You don't have to fucking strangle yourself to death. Like, it's okay to be mediocre. It's okay to not be perfect. You are good enough. You're good in where you are. Find the evidence. Find reasons why you are good enough. Like, let's talk about that for a second. You said that in your earlier grade school years that you were, pretty ahead of the curve, and people scale differently as they get older, and different interests and talents and so on and so forth. But what are some things that you could say, like, you know what, I actually am good enough. Like, what does that look like for you?
Can't think of anything, but maybe 1 second. Don't know. I guess the fact that one thing I'm pretty happy about was I was taking medication to deal with as like mood regulators and stuff, but I'm off of those and now it just feels the same, to be honest. But I mean, pretty happy about that. I kind of I've recovered a bit more than what it used to be before. That's nothing.
How about in your like things that have been, bothering you, like in your abilities, things that you've done, gaming or studying, or just really anything that you do, the way you support other people, anything really.
I guess like not the only I guess few things would be like in gaming does kind of make me happy, of course.
Are you good at games? Or good enough?
Not good enough. Exactly. I guess there are a few games I am fine at. Not great, but like doing okay. Like better than the average, which is the only thing that kind of keeps me happy about playing those.
And like I know it's not easy to do because like this is all you've known. Everything that you do is not good enough. It's not perfect. But what are some things that you could actually look to yourself and be like, you know what? I'm all right. It's okay.
I mean, just it's not even a handful amount of just games that I was doing well in, and guess stuff like volleyball and stuff made me pretty happy to play it, honestly, and I was doing pretty well.
Yeah, so like let's remind ourselves of that what do we live life for, you got to have some stability so that the bills are paid, and you also want to be able to enjoy yourself. How stressful is it to always have to be perfect and the best? Like, do you ever see people who are in first not having some type of anxiety about being passed up? Is that is that a nice life to live?
I mean, if you kind of think about it, I guess being in the first all the time would kind of suck, because now you're on this constant fear of the person in the second always coming to catch up.
Exactly.
And it's kind of lonely up there in the first place, isn't it?
Yep. So you would be going from one place of loneliness to another. Hooray! Except there's more anxiety because you're worried about not being the best anymore. You're worried about losing it.
I mean, loneliness is just great. It comes in all forms and sizes, I guess.
Yeah. So.
But yeah.
So let's fucking ask the super obvious one. Why do you need to be perfect? Why do you need to follow these pressures? If you could get by with like a C average, B average, still graduate, get into your career, why? You would feel a whole lot better if you kind of let go of that.
I mean, it's that guilt that it's in your head that your parents are doing so much for you, and the fact that I can't give them the best, even though it's stuff like that, and also the fact that you think about it yourself, like I guess all these resources wasted, all this money wasted, and yada yada yada.
Well, let's reframe this a bit here. So you feel guilty that you're not being, Mr. Perfect or Mr. Number One. But Mr. Number One is causing you to feel depressed and may eventually feel suicidal, which could be death. So we got death, or be more of yourself, give yourself a break, being okay with where you're at, and being, more happy and peaceful. So we have I am good enough, or death. So if anything,
Yeah.
if you explain this to your parents, do you want a son, or do you want death and perfection, or do you want a son who's alive and happy?
Oh, that's some heavy shit. That's some heavy shit.
Yeah.
But I guess, I mean, if you think about it, of course, things like that. But it's, I guess, even for myself that I force myself to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, guilt's the number one culprit for this, but also the fact that I want to do it for myself so I can have
A good
not
life, a
asking
better
for
life.
the best life. Yeah, just a better life. If
Yeah,
nothing.
see,
Just where I can live in comfort.
That's reasonable. You want a good life for yourself. But a good life is also going to have some acceptance, some flaws, some failures. Cuz you'll learn to tolerate the sting of failure and be stronger and be able to take on, challenges that you never would have been able to succeed at if you hadn't failed before. There are some people where they are super talented, they're super smart, and then as soon as they hit their first failure after like the first 25, 30 years, that might be painful enough for them to just kill themselves because they've never failed before. And it's just devastating. So it's actually it's actually preferred to be okay with yourself and fail so that you learn the lessons and develop stress tolerance that you need to. So
you are right about that, so yeah.
So the things to consider is you're not a bad person. You're actually a really good son. You've been trying to do the best you can to, support your parents and make them happy. But as you said yourself, they are struggling with their own issues too. And it's hard for them to even be supportive or realize what they're doing is hurting you because they are potentially depressed or have whatever issues going on. So it sucks to kind of say this, but it sounds as though that they are not in the right mindset to even really know what's good for you. And it's going to be up to you to sort of carve that life out for yourself. And if you want to preserve the relationship with them, you'd have to definitely do it at an arm's length with those boundaries. And if they start to question those boundaries, you're going to be like, look, I want to be happy, and you guys are hard to tolerate with all this pressure. It's no death or you have a son who's alive.
This is like the ultimatum I'm gonna have to give it to them.
If you choose to.
But
I'm not forcing you to do anything. But, I have disillusioned myself to a lot of the lies that were taught growing up and in society, and I give it to people in how it is. I give like the hardest, the coldest, the blackest reality check. This is it. So
I mean, yeah, but I guess I will have to find a way for myself to deal with this, of course. But
Mhm.
guess eventually, after I figure out what steps to take, maybe set those boundaries first,
And we can talk about that,
then
but I just want to
eventually,
make sure that we know all of what's going on.
yeah.
So, okay. So you have the guilt, but you realize that the guilt is killing you, or it's going to kill you. And you have to have a conversation with your parents, whether ultimatum or not, to sort of know where you stand and how to kind of move forward. So let me ask you this, and it's kind of hard to maybe answer all at once, but do you feel like you want to go the independent route, or kind of tolerate their pressures but maybe keep them at an arm's length? Like, where do you sort of fall in how you're going to confront them about it?
I would be pretty comfortable with the keeping them at an arm's length option, honestly. It just seems better because, well, I don't think I'm completely ready to step out there independently and do everything by myself as of now, but once I do, I will definitely take that step, but until then I do prefer to keep those boundaries first.
Yeah, we're not saying like just completely ditch your parents or anything, but we want
Yeah.
to help you achieve, some peace and some happiness, some fulfillment, and give yourself a break. So, just kind of fading into the background and checking in like you are for like the hospital and maybe some other things, but not much more than that. If they want to reach out to you, you'll answer, but you won't reach out to them. If they ask why, you'll tell them why. You guys stress me out.
Get it.
I don't like talking to you too much. I love and care about you, but you're hard to tolerate. Set those boundaries. And maybe they might come to the realization with a couple more years that, what really matters is your guys' relationship and the love between you guys, and that you don't have to be Mr. Perfect. You don't have to do everything that they think that you should do.
Yeah.
So,
You're right.
processing that, giving yourself a break. So positive affirmations is the biggest, thing that people usually do in these situations where they're like, your main ones are, I am good enough, I'm okay, I don't need to be perfect, I can do it, I can handle this. And just reminding yourself of those things every day, whether in the mirror or just saying it to yourself. And then also reminding yourself of your successes. You managed to come here to do this interview and talk about some deep and dark stuff. You've been pretty all right at other games before. You've met other people and built relationships with them. You've made friends before. Like you have plenty of things to draw upon that, especially in comparison to other people, you're pretty good enough at. Pretty good. Like you're where you need to be, especially for like what you said, you were 22.
I'm 20.
20. Yeah, even better. As far as what I've been hearing, you are ahead of the curve for someone in their early 20s. So impossible standards in these Eastern countries will never show you the reality of like you're fine. It's okay. and everybody's always going to do what they've been taught to do. They're not going to break the cycle unless they themselves reach panic attacks and depression and realize that this isn't worth it. Why am I even doing this?
Yeah.
They start to ask questions.
Yeah.
So, moving forward from here, remind yourself of those things as much as you can and support them. You know, maybe going online or potentially finding places in person of other supportive people and kind of surrounding yourself with people who accept you for who you are rather than pushing you to be something that you are not and that's out of reach. You know, we can't get to level 10 without going through levels 1 through 9. And parents really love to say, hey, get to level 20 even though you're like level 3. Like right now, actually. Like skip all those other levels, and you're like, well, that's unfair. I can't do it. So, and then having that conversation with your parents. Those would all be, you know, things to sort of give yourself some more breathing room.
Yeah. I think it would be better to do these things right now, so that I kind of, now that you say it, I kind of realize how important it is now for me to do this. But yeah.
What are your options again?
The boundaries?
No,
Well,
I mean
the sun.
the ultimatum.
The sun,
What's the ultimatum?
Oh yes, yeah. Death or a living happy son. Yeah.
There you go. I mean, you know, it is exaggerated in some ways, but it's also very truthful in others. You know, because it. Oh god. There's my hands. Okay, because it may eventually, you know, lead to that. You never know what'll happen in life. You might, you know, everyone might die. There might be a natural disaster, and like if you're not in a good place for that, it may push you over the edge. So we don't want to take that chance. And speaking from an overwhelming amount of experience and research, there's plenty of people where if they continue down this path, they're going to take a trip to Suicide Forest, you know? So, yeah. But I'm very confident that you can do it. For you to be at this level of intelligence and maturity for being 20 years old, I have no doubt that you will, and also emotional intelligence on top of that. You navigate through your emotions with such clarity. It's almost baffling because people really struggle with that. So like you're ahead of the curve. You have the tools that you need. You just got to give yourself a break so that you can kind of slow down and go at your own pace and kind of enjoy things more. So I have complete confidence in you. And let me know of any successes. But that's problem number 1 knocked out of the way, unless that is everything. Do you have anything else that you wanted to talk about?
I mean, to get to the other problems first, I would like to deal with this one and, you know, deal with the others in the future. I kind of have most of it done. I mean, except for, I guess, anxiety and the depression just makes me get angry very easily at the most smallest things. But yeah, I guess that probably. And I have no idea how to deal with that. I just get angry at like the smallest possible things.
Positive affirmations will help with that. If you sit to yourself and realize that like it's okay, just, you know, do some breathing techniques and some breath work, listen to some music, you know, go outside and just, you know, it's okay, it's fine. I don't have to be perfect. I am good enough. I can handle it. Just talk yourself down.
Yeah, I mean, if I stick to that, I think I'll be able to do it. Pretty sure. Pretty sure I can do it. Just the fact that I have to stick to doing it, I guess.
Yes. Consistency. How will you remind yourself?
That's a tough one. um,
Write it down.
Usually, don't need. Yeah, I mean, usually you don't need to remind yourself that you're feeling stressed and anxious normally, but.
Well, I mean,
Yes,
like, to cope with it. So use your coping skills and your grounding techniques. You have to remind yourself to do that.
Yeah. I mean, I have to first be able to identify it and then deal with it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So really building on that awareness and intervention and sticking to it. But yeah, it sounds like all the other problems are kind of symptoms of the main issues. You know, like of course it's frustrating. Like, fuck, didn't get another A, or fuck, you know, I didn't get this kill, or you know, I didn't win this game, and like what the fuck is wrong with me? Like, I'm still not good enough. Like, that's a product of you not telling yourself that it's okay to not be perfect.
Yeah. No, I think I should look at things more in this perspective than I do it. I mean, it will be hard.
Yeah.
And if not, I'll keep trying. I'll make sure that I look at things like this. But yeah.
Persevere. You're gonna fail, and it's okay to fail at, you know, it's okay to fail at not breaking out of the I have to be perfect cycle. But you keep trying, and it will lose its power, and then one day you'll be able to wake up and breathe like the most air you ever have in your lungs, and be like, I'm alright. I'm okay. And it's okay. You'll get there. I believe in you. And the power of anime says that you will achieve it.
Thank you, sir.
So that being said, if you have advice, guidance, or a statement to make to everybody watching, what would you tell them?
I think one of them would be to honestly seek for help and not hesitate even a little bit, because it's better to deal with these things as early as possible as well, because it is pretty like the ultimatum, it can cause death. But yeah, it's just better to deal with such things and come to understand what problems you're facing with. I guess doing those, and of course keep trying alternatives. If you can't, like, say one thing does not work out, then I guess always try something else, but do not give up on trying, even if you fail. I guess those two things would be pretty important. Kokoro no heiwa, inner peace.
All right, lazy. It's fine. It's fine. Peace or death. Listen, you gotta be able to jump and reach the moon. Okay, you gotta be perfect. You gotta jump only 1 million miles out of the atmosphere to get there. All right. Off you go.
Bye. Okay, big mistake.
Oh, you don't want to be perfect anymore? Oh man.